Well, first of all, first of all, I had to say that I'm a huge fan. I've been waiting
Oh,
for you to
thank you.
come to Chile since 2018, I think.
Oh
So
wow,
this is a
so how we.
see, yeah. So this is a huge opportunity for us and for you to meet our country and our the fans here. So what do you think about it? What did you think about coming to South America for the first time? I mean, Chile, because I know you
Yeah,
have been in Brazil.
exactly. No, very excited. I mean, our bass player has he spent some time in Santiago, some free time in Santiago, and I have some friends who now live in Sweden and stuff, but are from Santiago,
Oh
and
yeah.
by on all accounts, from eyewitnesses, it's supposed to be the most metal place in the world.
Yes.
Uh, and that includes also, we used to have our front of house tech worked many years for Motorhead until the end
Oh,
of Motorhead,
cool.
really. And he said that the greatest, wildest, most amazing show he ever worked at was in Santiago.
Yes.
So I have very high expectations, no pressure, but just saying that. So I do look forward to it very much.
Oops. Yeah, we have a little bit of pressure, but don't worry.
Yeah.
Fans here are really, really, really passionate about the music and their favorite bands in general.
So
So
I heard.
yeah, so I'm sure it's going to be a really, really cool show.
Me too. Hope
Yeah.
so.
Well, I want to ask you about your latest album, Dance Devil
Hmm.
Dance. So, what's the inspiration for the theme and all the aesthetic about all of it?
It is a journey to figure those things out where you kind of, at least the way we work nowadays, you write songs just for the sake of writing songs until you start to find a red thread in what you're doing. And
Okay.
kind of, because there are multiple songwriters, you start to kind of find a red thread, whatever ideas that we each person has that matches each other. So
Yes.
it's kind of organic in that way. But uh, Dance Will Dance, obviously, the writing started during the pandemic, and it kind of got a bit earlier start than we usually tend to have, simply because we couldn't tour.
Yes.
And the number one thing that was important to me when I started to get into the lyrics for it was that to not make a pandemic album per se, right? Because
Yeah.
it was a period there where we all lived in much smaller worlds, and I wanted to make sure that like to keep my world big in a way in my writing. And with that in mind, of course, there was inevitable that it to some degree would be influenced by life going on, because that is what any song is, any album is. Even when you try, even if I would write songs about, yeah, I don't know, what do metal bands do, concept albums about Lord of the Rings or something. You
Yeah.
still, the way you write those, I think you cannot really avoid that. Still, the angles and the perspectives you take has just as much to do with whatever happens at the kitchen table in your apartment as it does with what happens in Middle Earth. And
Yeah.
and during the pandemic, I mean, I was, just finding different ways of dealing with it and how to spend time and keep going. For me, part of that was getting a bit more regular and serious with meditation,
Oh,
and
cool.
uh, which is a great tool. But and in that, because I don't believe in anything as far as religion goes,
Oh, yeah.
but
I
I had a
understand.
kind of had yeah, but I kind of started to have those, not not my beliefs challenged, but kind of the value of symbols and rituals, and kind of having a spiritual perspective. Not that I believe in spirits, but just kind of how to look at the world and look at yourself, where certain things maybe have more meaning than an atheist would attribute to them. And in conclusion, kind of what came there is that, without you can believe that rituals are magical without believing in magic, because it's something we gather around. uh, I mean, everywhere in most parts of the world, we have a birthday cake and candles in it, and we sing and we make a wish, and very few people believe that that wish will come true. But it's a ritual, it's something we gather around, and therefore we give it meaning, and therefore we give it power. And same
Yes.
with symbols. symbols mean things. Even if you don't think that a crucifix will scare away vampires, you still there's power in all those things. And I came to, because another thing that I did during the pandemic was to try to get better at running a bit further. Just go out and jog and do it longer than 5 kilometers. So
Yeah.
and I seem to be a guy who are somewhat susceptible to getting a runner's high.
Ooh,
So I
nice.
was, yeah. So so some 9-10 kilometers into something, uh, while listening to like my brother's workout playlist, which is just this intense rave trance music. So you got this boom, 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 and you're out in nature, and and you get a certain state of mind. And in that run, in one of those runners' highs, I became very convinced that having had this whole process kind of in the background of these redefining spiritualism for myself, I came to the conclusion that I am Satan. And that is there are a lot of layers to what that means,
Oh
because
yeah,
again,
of course.
you know,
Yeah.
I don't believe in the devil, but I like the idea of Satan as an antagonist to a status quo. I like the idea of the accountability that comes with that idea that the only engine you have is your own to be a force in this world, and how you participate in things and stuff. And I also think that in terms of just the power of established religions, I feel like it seems like the Jesus of the Bible, and the God of the Bible is a more fair description, I'd say, or another major Abrahamic religion is very authoritarian, is pretty misogynistic. It's a lot of things that I am not. And if Satan is a symbol of the antithesis to that, then is
Yes.
this feministic, egalitarian harbinger of democracy. It's probably vegan too, so it's great.
Yeah. Great.
So there you find that the meaning in that symbol. And I also like that Satan as a word is pre-Christian, as far as I've learned. In the Middle
Yeah.
East, you can trace a pre-Abrahamic religion would be Zoroastrianism, if I say that right in English. And already there you have some. Well, now I'm not sure if I remember correctly, because this was a couple of years ago. I wasn't, and now moving on to whatever we're gonna do next. But some kind of god of fire or something. There is a shaitana or something, right? And that idea, whatever that was, that idea, that name travels and gets redefined and reused to whatever someone finds useful at the time. And I like that idea of how to approach a very because I'm not religious, but I come to deal with spiritualism and symbols in a different way. Then I can have a very non-dogmatic relationship to what these things mean. And that would be, and in that I like that Satan becomes a very self-defined term,
Yeah.
because I'm not part of any club in this sense, I didn't, I'm a fan of the Satanic Temple, so I buy their t-shirt, but I'm not in the band, so I don't have a member card,
Yeah.
So in that, it's purely, I can use it for definitions and to just how to frame ideas and feelings in a way that's useful to me, or was useful to me at the time. Because
Yes.
so that's a huge overarching thing, and why, the invention of this emblem symbol we have, why that was so interesting and important at the time, to play with symbolism and what meaning it can carry for us and our fans. And so you got that, and then you got a bunch of rock and roll, and just that it was important to, as always, just as every time, write songs we haven't heard and find something that feels musically important while doing it to us. And I felt very strongly that heavy metal is rock and roll is dance music, and there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to snap your fingers even to death metal riffs. I think,
Yeah.
And to have that approach, so that's really grooviness, and that's that you can shake your ass even when it's blasting death metal, which and we're not a death metal band, but we had certainly have our death metal moments. So no, a lot of things come together under this big umbrella of that it was probably our most spiritual album to date.
Yeah, that's so cool because you were talking about religion, and but just more about introspection, I think, because
Yeah.
we all kind of believe in stuff, or maybe energies, maybe something, and even believing in ourselves could be something we can trust on. So that's really a cool way to see it. Um, well, you were talking about all this aesthetic of the album, and I really want to ask you how this concept of visuals and theatrical on stage, how the idea came up, or it was just evolving with time, the Avatar show in general, along with the music.
Yeah, the latter description is probably the more accurate one. That is, it's a constant evolution. Then there have been revolutionary moments for us because we are essentially the same band we have been since we were teenagers. Tim joined later, but now he's been with us forever, and we knew him long before he joined the band. So
Nice.
we are very old friends, everyone, and so we have kind of tried all kinds of things together because we learned how to play together. So there was an evolution in trying to figuring shit out. But then it was a revolutionary moment was with Black Waltz doing a music video. Hey Johannes, maybe you should be a scary clown in this one too. Maybe that would be a good idea. And it was a really good idea because it clicked. I'm like, oh, there it is. And then it just, through the years, it has just been a question of we keep on finding new perspective on angles on what that is, what the metal circus idea is. And it's important. It's not circus metal, it's a metal circus.
Metal circus.
So the metal comes first, you know?
Yeah.
Because we don't need to have in every song. You know, that's not what it's about. But how we still frame it and project it, and how this universe we kind of build through just going all in on all kinds of different ideas in what we do visually and musically. So that's an evolutionary factor, but it's kind of grounded in nowadays that sense of that we are circus people in a way.
Yeah, it's so cool because you mix that even in your music videos. I remember when Avatar Country was released, I was shocked. I really loved the concept of, the king, and even taking that from the videos to the stage was so amazing, mind-blowing to me. That's one of the things that I really love most about the band.
And that started as an inside joke. The whole idea of Jonas was that whole thing that. So Jonas, back in the day, at some point, added Kungen, which is Swedish for the king, as a middle name on Facebook to kind of annoy us, and it worked. But then it kind of became his nickname, and with that nickname came all this. Oh, the king is here, and he waved like this. And then we had enough of. Then we kind of was in a period where, I don't know, we listened to Manowar before every show at the time, and it's this kind of, there's a certain aesthetic in metal that we can definitely enjoy, and I got into metal through power metal, but I never really, but to nowadays, to say something of value in that, if you're not Blind Guardian or Halloween, I'm not really interested because there's so many copycats, and also, speaking of being anti-authoritarian and the symbol of Satan and everything, I cannot sing glory to our king and do fancy lyrics like that. I don't believe in that. But I do believe in my very good friend Jonah. So if he's the king, then we can simply write 6 love songs to one of my best friends. And that kind of gave an excuse to have fun in that kind of classic heavy metal, power metal approach to it. Yeah. While still, having our extreme parts, our groovy parts, and then more melodic part, have all of that in that. So that, but also one of those things that it's obviously on paper the worst idea ever, and that's why we loved it and went all in with it.
Thank you very much, Johannes.
Thank you for your time. See you in Santiago.
See you in Santiago. Take care. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.